Hey, this is Dr. Ben Weitz, host of the Rational Wellness Podcast. I talk to the leading health and nutrition experts and researchers in the field to bring you the latest in cutting-edge health information. Subscribe to the Rational Wellness Podcast for weekly updates. And to learn more, check out my website, drweitz.com. Thanks for joining me, and let's jump into the podcast. Hello, Rational Wellness Podcasters. Today, I'm very excited to be having another discussion with one of our favorite guests, Dr. Barrie Tan. And today we will be talking about Geranylgeraniol. I hope I pronounced that right. We had Dr. Tan on a recent podcast in episode 284, and we planned to discuss both tocotrienols and geranylgeraniol, or GG, but we only had time for tocotrienols because the research and data on tocotrienols are so fascinating and complex. But I really want to learn more about this interesting new compound, geranylgeraniol, and what implications there are for our health. So Dr. Tan is back.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I've always enjoyed being at your show and able to explain things that are mutually helpful for our well-being and health. So this is very exciting. Looking forward to the GG discussion we didn't get to have in the first round.
Exactly. Hey, Dr. Tan, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us what the listeners should know about you.
Oh, thank you for asking. I started my career 40 years ago as a chemistry professor at the University of Massachusetts, right here in Amherst. And I'm still here in the next town over, where our factory is in Hadley, Massachusetts. It's about 2 hours inland from Boston and an hour north of Hartford. So cold New England, classic New England place. So here's where we are. And in the time that I've taught chemistry, I noticed that there's a tug in my heart to take me to the area of nutritional health, as opposed to other chemical aspects that other people study. Then somewhere in the passage of time, I already had gotten to study tocotrienol at the time, this special vitamin E. I went to South America to look for a plant called marigold for lutein and zeaxanthin, good for macular degeneration. Everybody know that. And then fate has it. Literally 30 feet away from me, I found this beautiful plant called Anato. You can see that if I pretend to scratch it, it stains the finger. Those red color is for coloring cheese. If you ever go to Trader Joe, Whole Food is not a strange plant. It's just not grown in the U.S. that we are familiar with it. However, I should qualify. Not grown in the U.S., correct. If you go to a botanical garden on the warmer side of U.S., like Southern California, Florida, you'll probably see this Anato plant, and it's popularly nicknamed the lipstick plant, like that. If you, however, have the chance to vacation in Hawaii, and you just ask anybody, where can I find an Anato plant, they'll show you. But most of Anato we got from South America, which was my fateful trip that I found this plant. And that was 25 years ago. And ever since then, I'm lockstep into committed to study the tocotrienol. Then now, how is that connected to GG? This is actually true. And some, yes, I'm a scientist, very passionate, but sometimes luck travel the path of those who are conscious studier. And I extracted from this thing here. First, I removed the color, and then I found out that the antioxidant that protect the color is tocotrienol. And sure enough, I got it. Then I thought, oh, this is good enough for me to have discovered something in the Amazonia like that. But at the bottom of the pot, I still see about 1 to 2% something else. And I'm a chemist. I'm curious. Hey, that 1 or 2% is not the color. It's not the carotene, man, by golly, and it's an oil, kind of like a light yellow, orangey color. I need to know what it is. So, and then I said, what is this compound called geranylgeraniol? So it was really not like somebody said, I have always from day one studied GG. It's not like that. It was in the bottom of my pot, and I said, GG, geranylgeraniol, what in the goodness is this? Then I found out that it is the last common step between the plant and the animal, which means the mammal. In the plant, this is really cool. In the plant, in the plant kingdom. Now we
Dr.
are
Tan,
mammal.
Dr. Tan, not only are you brilliant, but you are the most enthusiastic scientist I have ever met.
Thank you. Let me finish up, and then we'll get to the mammal side, right? In the plant kingdom, right? Every day you eat your vegetable, that orangey yellowish color, the fall foliage in New England, the color in carrot, and the color in tomato, those are carotene. Every carotene need 2 GG molecule to start making it in the plant kingdom. Chlorophyll. What plant is it without green color? Chlorophyll has GG in it. So it is essential for GG in the entire plant kingdom. Now you're going to say, okay, Dr. Tan, I got it. So tell me something about human being. I'm hoping to tell you this. How about this? You're going to ask me a question, then I say, why is GG essential in the human body? So I just told you about the plant, so I don't want to steal your question. As you ask me, I'll try to answer them.
Well, GG is a part of the mevalonate pathway. And a lot of people talk about GG in this context. So I thought it'd be important for you to explain what is the mevalonate pathway, which, by the way, is the pathway by which human beings produce cholesterol in the liver. And it's also the pathway that is inhibited by statin medications.
Yes, I like to explain this way, Dr. Weitz. If you think of the mevalonic pathway as interstate 95, I purposely do that. I know we have a lot of interstate, but no interstate in the United States is more travel than 95 from Maine to Florida. It is the most, because most of Americans live on the East Coast, so it's kind of obvious like that. But cholesterol synthesis is ultra important. Only hypercholesterolemia, we're dealing with that because of arteriosclerosis. Otherwise, every cell in our body requires cholesterol to live and to survive. Enough that about 9 to 12 Nobel Prize were given to cholesterol and how cholesterol works. Now come inhibiting cholesterol. Because of arteriosclerosis and plaque, you think of using statin. Statin, I purposely use interstate 95. Statin inhibit cholesterol in Boston, that juncture. So if you inhibit in Boston, cholesterol synthesis is in New York. So downstream from Boston, and then at New York, you pluck it up in Boston, and then the cholesterol synthesis is not able to make so much in New York City, and hence the cholesterol drop. That is what you desire. You block it in Boston like this. Now, that is what statin does. Few people ask the question, if you block it like that, what about in Washington, D.C.? Now, in Washington, D.C., it's an unassuming compound called Geranylgeraniol, or GG. It is part of the mevalonic acid pathway on the interstate 95. It's not going to change. It is there. So if you inhibit that, so then the audience asks, so what's a big deal if you inhibit GG on the interstate 95 in Washington, D.C. is like that? You know, what is the big deal if you inhibit at Boston and cholesterol drop? Well, let me tell you the big deal. As alternative, as we are as a health professional, we have heard many a time when you inhibit cholesterol synthesis using statin, CoQ10 drop. You can even buy a CoQ10 in Costco that say CoQ10 drop as you take statin go up. The public even directly know that. So why do I say that? Because GG is required in the synthesis of CoQ10. So if you inhibit GG with statin, CoQ10 drop. That is known. Next, the doctor who gave you statin, he or she cares. He said, Mrs. Jones or Mr. Jones, do you have any back pain, muscle problem? They're fishing for myopathy, some muscle problem. That is because GG is required in the synthesis of skeletal muscle protein, and they're fishing for any muscle problem like that. So there you have it. So if you use statin to inhibit at Boston, then cholesterol reduction in New York City, and GG is reduced in Washington, D.C. And for GG, it bifurcates in different direction. In this direction, CoQ10 drop because it's needed. And in this direction, myopathy on the muscle drop. So there you have it. That's the reason why people who take statin drug should consider taking CoQ10, and in addition should consider taking GG. CoQ10 because it directly inhibits CoQ10 drop, and GG so that they will block any possibility of muscle problems.
I mean, it's a little bit off course, but I sometimes think of things. Wouldn't it be better, and I know this is not part of the GG necessarily, but to come up with a way to block cholesterol synthesis more downstream, because the statin is so upstream that it affects all these other things. And I know everybody's, right now statins are enjoying this huge increase in usage, and people are saying they're the answer to everything from heart disease to cancer. But because it's so far upstream, it has all these negative effects. You mentioned myopathy. We got blocking CoQ10. We got blocking vitamin K. We got possibly interfering with vitamin D. We've got all these other negative effects affecting mitochondrial function, et cetera, et cetera. Ideally, when you look at that pathway, wouldn't it be better to have a more downstream compound that blocked cholesterol?
Yes, people have explored it. That's a very good question. For example, probably 20 years ago, Bristol Myers Squibb had a project. They inhibit it. Here is Boston, and here in New York City, and here is Washington, D.C. Between Boston and it actually is like that. Between Boston and New York City is New Haven. So they decided that how about we block New Haven? So they tried that, and that's called squalene synthase inhibitor. Squalene is required for the synthesis of cholesterol, but it is not quite yet at cholesterol, so they inhibit squalene, and it did work. However, it did not work as dramatically and as powerfully as a statin drug, even though the statin drug was much higher. So that means the ability of statin drug to inhibit something so far up and so far down, you still experience cholesterol to drop, GG to drop, and as a consequence, CoQ10 and muscle problem happen, is because they could not find a drug that is as effective as statin. Enough that now all the statin drugs are out of patent. So they're kind of inexpensive. So now the fancier drug doesn't work on the mevalonic acid pathway. Instead, it works on the receptor, how to receive the cholesterol. And if you nail down the receptor, and therefore the cholesterol is not accepted well, and then the cholesterol drop precipitously. And one of them, I've forgotten what the name is, you directly inject into your intramuscular, and then it drop and is applied once a month or something.
The PCSK9 inhibitors.
Yes, so
Yeah.
that is not directly working on the mevalonic
Right.
acid pathway, and is you have to do injection rather than a pill, and
Right.
it's quite expensive like that. So still, people stay with the statin usage. You mentioned that statin is used pleiotrophically. Besides cholesterol lowering, you can go to American Diabetes Association. They ask that it would be beneficial on all diabetic to take it, not necessarily addressing sugar, to take it so that they'll reduce cardiovascular event in diabetic. So another subset of people.
Yeah, unfortunately, it increases diabetes.
Right, I agree, and it increases diabetes, which is just an oxymoron. And now I'm not pushing any agenda, but I encourage the health profession listener to do this. Of the 20 or so small molecule tested to help reduce the severity of COVID-19. The one that is head and shoulder above all else is statin drug. You will be surprised. The ability of statin drug to inhibit cholesterol synthesis is inhibiting the entry of the COVID virus to go into the cell. Isn't that? I'm not putting any funny monkey business on this. You should go online. In other words, for every 20 papers published on COVID and statin, there are probably all the other 19 small molecule published. So it is head and shoulder. Right now, they have shown that those who take statin drug reduce in-hospital severity, reduce in-hospital death. So that is so all that to say, the amount of possibility of people taking statin drug would even grow much higher and balloon more, which means a way to address the cause of myopathy is not there. And it's a simple endogenous molecule called GG that would help to reduce this severe muscle symptoms.
So we're going to get into all the different potential benefits of GG, but anytime we have a discussion about nutritional compound, some people are always asking, how can I get it in food? Now, I'm already sold. I've already added GG to my nutritional regimen as far as supplementation, but maybe you can talk about what foods GG are found in.
Okay, that is the good news is GG is found in most food. The amount is very small. And why is it small? Because GG in the plant is well conserved. There are very few plants where GG you can find. One is not really a food amount. It's called castor oil. We use castor oil like as a replacement for mineral oil in the car, so you can consume it. Is found there. And then, of course, I stumble onto this Anato.
Yeah, don't eat castor oil because that's where they make ricin from, which is one of the most toxic poisons.
Yes. You asked me so I think that in other foods where you see the natural color.
I think flax is reasonably high in GG.
Yeah, flaxseed. Like carrots and tomato, where you see
I think olive oil also.
Yes, thank you. Olive oil, flaxseed oil, and if you look at South American fare, they use Anato. You pound them, you can see. Usually, vegetable oil will contain a small amount. How small is small? Probably 1 to 3, at most 5 milligrams, like that. And most of the activity that we have seen that would work would be approximately 150 milligrams.
So let's go into the possible, all the various potential health benefits of GG.
All right. So the first one, let me just reiterate it, and then we go to the other two. And that would be that GG is required for the synthesis of skeletal muscle protein. You just leave it as it like that. In other words, approximately 30 to 40% of our human weight is skeletal muscle, like that. And sometimes, I like to say this in order to make it clear. People take heap full of amino acid and heap full of protein so that we can gain muscle. There is a place in it, but it's kind of naive to say that if you take this protein and amino acid, it magically will become the protein in your body. Protein in a body is very specific. Let me give you some simple illustration. The average molecular weight of an amino acid is 120. The average molecular weight of a protein is 120,000. Of course, I purposely do that. So therefore, if your average molecular weight of a protein is 120,000 and amino acid is 120, so every protein will have 1,000 amino acid. That's an average one. we're not going to do that big average. Let's say a very small protein, insulin. Insulin has a molecular weight of 6,000. It's considered a very small protein. If you think of the amino acid in the body, I'm dragging you back to biochemistry. We have 20 essential amino acids. So if you have a tiny amino acid that have 20 amino acids stitched together to make a protein, the way in which that 20 amino acid will be stitched together, the probability of it is 1 to 20 to the power of 20. 20 to the power of 20 is much larger than the number Google. If you Google the number like that, so therefore, when we make protein, the body uses our nucleic acid, DNA and RNA to make those nucleic acid. So as this big protein albatross is being made, an unassuming compound is called GG, which is not even an amino acid. It hooked on to the protein until the protein is fully made, and then the protein is delivered. So that kind of protein, typically a GG, is used for a skeletal muscle protein. So as we grow older, we don't make enough GG, and therefore we are unable to make adequately skeletal muscle, and that is called sarcopenia. If we further take statin drug, that will induce even more muscle problem like that. So that would be the muscle piece. Another one.
Wait a minute, Doc. This could potentially be huge for sports medicine, so many benefits in terms of skeletal muscle synthesis. GG could be the next big sports supplement taken by people who work out, right?
Yes. And we are trying now how to design a study on sports medicine. We're not yet started on that. We are trying to design how to do this, and we hope that in the next year, 2023, we might be able to engage in something like that. The second half, this kind of thing takes approval, time, and these procedures to do. So we're working on that. The reason we are this excited, Dr. Weitz, is because American River R&D company right here in Massachusetts, we are the first company in the world making GG. So right now I'm trying to figure out how can we prove what GG is used for an advantage in the human body. And that's one, yes, that is a very powerful one to help the elderly in retaining muscle mass loss. Of course, exercise is still important to do that. And if they take drugs like statin, and then it's a double whammy, they will do more. Can you imagine if you're 60, 65 years old, and then you're losing muscle mass, and you're taking statin to mitigate cholesterol, you have type 2 diabetes, and the doctor asks you to take, then this will be a special case in which this is good. And on the other extreme, if you are 20-year-old exercise sports medicine, and that can also increase muscle power and performance.
Do we know what the mechanism is?
Oh,
how GG leads to skeletal muscle synthesis.
The GG helps skeletal muscle synthesis in that as the DNA is putting one amino acid onto the protein, one amino acid at a time, it is specific. If you think of a protein having 20 amino acids, and we have 20 essential amino acids, you put them one at a time. So when the protein is half made, it is already about 50,000 molecular weight. It's already looking like an albatross. So when the protein is half made, something is hooked on to the entire half made protein. That hook that holds it to is GG. So it's actually holding the partially synthesized protein until it's fully made. It detaches and then is shipped to the site of activity. It is actually like that, and there are no other thing there. It's just a hook that is holding on to the protein as it's being synthesized in the DNA.
Do we know what would be I know we were going to get into this later, but right now, just for the sake of skeletal muscle synthesis, what would be your best guess for a good recommendation for the amount of GG that could be taken in supplemental form for that purpose?
I think that for that purpose is somewhere in the range of 150 to 300 milligram, no more than that. And currently, two of our current trials that we have, one group is 150, the other group is 300. It did not include exercise signs. We don't see a reason higher than 300 currently, and it looked like from all the animal studies that I have gathered, and then if I translate the human study, they all protends to somewhere between 150 to 200 milligram. So I kind of deem that somewhere 150 is a good starter and 300 is the higher one that I can imagine.
Since we're talking about sports medicine and GG helping with skeletal muscle synthesis, GG could be a double whammy because it also plays a role in testosterone synthesis. Isn't that correct?
Yes, and yes, that finding was first disclosed by Japanese scientists probably about 3 to 5 years ago, and then they are helping the elderly population to have thrived. And as you know, when the testosterone is high, they're able to retain muscle mass in the elderly, so they have thrived as they walk because of the elderly population there. So encouraged by that, so we have a clinical trial in Florida where we have given one group 150 and the other group 300 milligram to see if this would increase in the men's sexual health and in the women sexual health. When do we expect that result to come out? Probably in the new year, in the first quarter of 2023. So it'll be coming soon. So keep in touch with me and send me an email. I'll let you know what the outcome is. But we have waited and designed that study all 2022. A lot of this study takes time. It's a 3-month study, but it took us a while to put it all together.
Wow, very exciting.
Thank you.
So let's talk about how GG can be a good adjunct to somebody who's taking a statin medication by preventing the decrease in CoQ10 and the decrease in the other factors that can result from statins, like a depression of cellular energy and impaired mitochondrial function.
Okay. Let's touch the CoQ10P. I'm going to just step aside so that the audience can see the video. When I step aside, if I'm fading, let me know on the voice. In the front molecule, that's the molecule of GG. The red color on that place, that is the oxygen and OH group. So the black color is the carbon backbone, and the white color is the hydrogen. So therefore, that's GG, the body makes. On the backdrop, that is a large albatross molecule of CoQ10. See that? So if I put this forward, that's CoQ10 in the background, and the antioxidant is way on the other end there. There's an antioxidant head. You see the long background here? That entire background.
Doc, when you go too far to that side, we stop being able to hear you. There you go.
Okay, sorry. So the entire tail of CoQ10 is from GG, like that here.
Okay.
So therefore, GG is used in the human body for the biosynthesis of CoQ10. Now, as an audience is listening, we all know the famous CoQ10. We probably never heard until now that GG is required for the synthesis of CoQ10 in the human body. Now, remember, before you take CoQ10, CoQ10 is making the body. If our body does not make CoQ10, we cannot live because it's required for the ATP conversion. So magic didn't happen because we have CoQ10 in the business world to sell. Magic happened because our body makes CoQ10. And the piece that I want to add for the audience to know is GG is required for the synthesis of CoQ10. This is the first time GG molecule is that. That's to show you that. So So if you take GG then understandably, whatever you know about CoQ10, then GG is good because GG makes CoQ10 for the mitochondrial function, for also helpful in people with dementia because GG is in the brain and have good CoQ10, and CoQ10 is able to support brain health. But there's another piece that I'll put on now that also touches on the brain health and bone health. I'll use another metaphor here. When you take green leafy vegetable, we get vitamin K. That's a vitamin K that would go in the body and would seal the tear so that it would clot. Say if we have a tear inside our artery, then it would clot. You need vitamin K. And the two scientists that discovered them got the Nobel Prize in the 1940s. Later in the 1970s, another Nobel Prize was also given to vitamin K because those scientists were further able to explain the way the vitamin K work was it had to go to a certain process and then it create a protein. So it's vitamin K related protein synthesis, and that is able to nail it to make the clot. In the same passage, that vitamin K then make the protein also traps the calcium and take the calcium to the bone. So therefore, vitamin K is also connected to strong bone health. Now, the audience probably say, wait a minute, Dr. Tan. Isn't that supposed to be vitamin D? Yes, vitamin D is related to increased bone health. But vitamin D does not have the power, the charm, or the explanation and the beauty of the vitamin K explanation. Man, without the protein made that is caused by vitamin K, that protein is not made and the calcium is not moved to the bone. So that's a Nobel Prize. The vitamin D helped like that. So let me go back.
Moving the calcium to the bone also is removing it from the arteries, so reduces arterial calcification.
Amen to that. But let me see how that is done. So you take vegetable, dark green vegetable like kale, like spinach, like broccoli, like this. So intentionally, I'm going to do it. That is vitamin K1, green color from one. Now, if all the vitamin K we take is consumed, let's say the person is a vegan, completely eating food like rabbit food, you would think that they'll probably clot to death. Vegan do not clot to death because they'll consume so much vitamin K when they don't. The reason is because at the gut, we have homeostasis. A fixed amount of vitamin K goes in. So where does the other vitamin K go? Just follow me through with this. This will be really beautiful. You look at this, right at the gut is hydrolase enzyme. It cut it off. This is both from the plant. And the tail, which is saturated from K1, which flushed away. This is not from human being. It's still green color. This ring goes inside the body and it locates 25 to 30 organs. And this is really magical. It looked for this molecule, intentionally red because it's in the human body. It is the same length as the tail, exactly the same as the tail, but it is partly unsaturated. That is GG in 25 to 30 organs. This was from vitamin K, and they stitched together. They're called transferase enzyme, and I purposely make the sound. That's it. This is MK4. This is MK4, and this is not going to change. It is not molecular biology, not nutrition. It is pure biochemistry, and it should be in the textbook. So this vitamin K2, ladies and gentlemen, is MK4. And this MK4 is supposed to be in the body to sweep the calcium away from soft tissue, like in the artery that Dr. Weitz talked about, and sweep this to the bone. approximately 90 to 95% of calcium is found in the bone. Yes, the soft tissue needs calcium, but only a small amount. The balance is 95 to 5. It's very easy to go out of kilter, and then you will have arteriosclerosis, kidney stone, a gallbladder stone like that. We need this to go there. And how do you sweep the calcium to go to the bone where you can have strong bone, particularly when you grow older? This is the molecule, MK4. It makes the protein and sweeps it to the bone. And a lot of study on this. And where do you get this compound? You get this compound by this guy here, that GG. Without the GG, it cannot step onto the ring. You cannot make MK4. However, truth be told, the ring, the human body cannot make. That's why this is a very unusual compound. The half piece is from the plant and the other half piece is from the human body. But as we grow old, we don't make enough this guy. And this guy, we will forever be thankful to the plant. Our human body cannot make it. It's this guy. So I hope that this is a take-home message. MK4 is synthesized in the body. Now, the audience is now drawing a little bit. So, Dr. Tim, are you telling me that manoquinone is made in the human body? I thought I was told all manoquinone are made in the gut by fermentation. I can tell all kinds of things. Japanese natto, cheese, blah, 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 kimchi, this and that. Yes and no. Yes and no. When you think of fermentation in the gut, they make much longer tail, like MK7, MK9, MK11, and 13. That is good for the gut health, like that. There is an MK7 is supplemented in our body to shuttle the calcium to the bone. Yes, but keep in mind the only manoquinone made inside your body, not because of fermentation, exclusively, I may say, is MK4. So because the human body make MK4, I implore the audience, please find out why the human body makes MK4 exclusively. That is never going to change. Yes, in the gut, MK4, 7, 9, 11, and 13. Agree, no argument. But the body in at least 25 to 30 organs make MK4. Because of that, I think that there is a unique place for GG that is made. And once we grow older, we simply don't make enough GG. So if I may say so, I would say GG is, until now, I'm going to purport, is a true anti-aging endogenous nutrient. I hope that this would be, if I would have one take-home message for this holiday season, is I'm going to walk away with the understanding GG is a true biological and biochemical anti-aging endogenous nutrient.
We need a new song, Deck the Halls with GG. So it sounds like we have kind of a marriage between vitamin D, vitamin K, and GG. And sounds like it makes sense for all of those to be taken together.
Yes, I take them together. And you know, a Design for Health sells a product for the GG and the tocotrienol. I think they call it Anato EGG because they're both from Anato. Now, and for the piece, if somebody is taking statin drug, you know they inhibit GG. And you know that when you take statin drug, CoQ10 drop, and Design for Health has a product called CoQ10, where you have ubiquinol plus GG. So that combination would be particularly and specific for someone that's taking statin. So then, say for example, if Ben, you and my parent are elderly, and then they have sarcopenia. They don't otherwise taking statin. Then if there's sarcopenia, they simply have loss of muscle mass. Then taking GG would help them improve the thrive and maintain any muscle mass loss. So it will be that piece. On the MK4 one, if any of us have calcification of the artery, kidney stone, gallstone like that, if we take GG to induce the making of MK4, then more calcium will be swept to the bone. Or taking a combination, and I believe there are companies out there. Design for Health have a product called Tri-K, which is a manoquinone product with some GG in it and vitamin D in it. If you look online, you'll see that. And other companies do. Or if they don't have it, take a combination of manoquinone plus GG, and then that will be able to ensure that the calcium is gone to the bone and not littered in other parts of your body, like the artery.
Cool. So for preventing statin-induced myopathy, what would be the best dosage for GG?
I would say that if a person is taking a statin drug, probably and have no complaints
Right.
of a muscle problem, then 150 milligram would suffice.
Okay.
If a person takes statin drug and the cardiologist imploring them that they have to stay with it, and then they're experiencing muscle pain or myopathy. And by the way, you can Google online and study this. It's called SAMS, SAMS. It simply means statin associated muscle symptom. If you just type in statin associated muscle symptom, the audience can go online and look and see all this cluster. Usually sometimes the cardiologist downplay it, but the patient themselves know. So if you have SAMS, then consider taking 300 milligram. And when you do take the GG, just take it with a meal. It's oil soluble, as is with the tocotrienol, and as is with the CoQ10. These are lipid soluble. If you take it with a meal, it emulsified and absorption is increased.
Now, not only can GG reduce some of the negative effects of taking statins, but I understand that GG can also reduce some of the side effects of bisphosphonates, which are medications taken for osteoporosis, including reducing osteonecrosis of the jaw, which is like a horrible side effect where you lose the bone in your jaw as a result of trying to increase your bone density by taking Fosamax and other bisphosphonates.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Weitz, for bringing this up. I nearly forgot it. Now, of course, in the class of people taking statin compared to the class of people take bisphosphonate, there's a big difference. A lot more people, men and women, take statin, and largely women take bisphosphonate. And also bisphosphonate is used for tumor metastasis. But for people who have metastasized the cancer metastasized to the bone, they take bisphosphonate to kill the tumor inside the bone. So when people take this bisphosphonate, it is true. Bisphosphonate, again, go back to the mevalonic acid pathway. Bisphosphonate inhibit precisely at New Haven. Now, statin inhibit at Boston, bisphosphonate specifically inhibit at New Haven. So when bisphosphonate inhibit at New Haven, then once again in Washington, D.C., then GG is inhibited. It really is like that. I know I say it cartoonically. So when you inhibit in New Haven, it's inescapable. It inhibit in Washington, D.C., and once again, when it inhibit there, but then this is very specific. It happened in the jawbone. In other words, when the bisphosphonate entered to the bone thing in the jawbone, it actually inhibit the GG synthesis in the jawbone, and the GG is required for the protein synthesis of the jawbone. So if you inhibit the GG there, then there's no available GG for making the protein in the jawbone. And what's the consequence? They have the jawbone begin to die. Necrosis means death. So therefore is bisphosphonate, BRONJ, bisphosphonate related osteonecrosis of the jaw. So if the audience are taking bisphosphonate, please go online to read for yourself BRONJ, and then you study and read how often this is happening to people. And then how about you assume that you don't take anything Dr. Tan said. I'm not offended. So you will Google online, please do that. You go BRONJNGG or Geranylgeraniol, and you will be surprised, and you'll come to your own conclusion on how GG has been decimated by bisphosphonate that cause BRONJ. And a full disclosure, everybody that has studied BRONJ with GG, I don't know them. I only know them after they publish the work. So they have zero influence for me. Since then, they have come to know about me and they asked me for GG to continue their research. But yes, to the subset of people who are taking bisphosphonate, there is a chance of this BRONJ, and it was first discovered by dentists in 2003. It's not so long ago when this was discovered, and for people who have a bone metastasis, they have to take much higher amount of bisphosphonate to kill the tumor in the bone because you can't operate on the bone like that. And for them who take high dose, then this will be much higher incidence of BRONJ. And the solution is the use of GG to mitigate the destruction in the jawbone. It's a very peculiar and unusual and dangerous type of side effect. Thank you for bringing it up, Ben. I had forgotten about this, yes.
Now, I read about another potential benefit of GG in increasing insulin sensitivity, especially in cases of statin-induced diabetes.
Yes, it is now known and is established that when people take long-term use of statin drug, and then increasingly they have a side effects of type 2 diabetes, which is ironic for the statement, because about 15 years ago, American Diabetes Association said all type 2 diabetics should be taking statin. Now, I don't think that they intend harm. The reason they ask all type 2 diabetic to take statin is because it reduces cardiovascular events. That was the reason. But
and especially since some of the drugs for diabetes increase your risk of heart disease.
I know this is just such an oxymoron. So now, if you fast forward today, for people, whether they're diabetic or not, if they take statin drug to lower cholesterol, then the sugar is slowly creeping up like that of a type 2 diabetic. And they're now able to explain the reason being this statin drug got to the mitochondria and is making the mitochondria dysfunctional. When the mitochondria become dysfunctional, the ability to handle sugar and the energy making will also become uncontrolled. And when they become uncontrolled, the sugar begin to go up. And we actually have animal study where GG is added back, and they make the mitochondria improve its mitochondrial function. So that has been shown by a study in China. It has been shown by study somewhere in the middle of our country in Detroit. And more recently, we have given our GG to a university in Texas, and they just published it a month or two ago, where they are more like type 2 diabetic, high carb, high fat diet, and then they gave them GG, and GG is able to increase the respiration of the mitochondria. And then the second one, I was quite impressed. They have to harvest the mitochondria from the muscle to do this. You know what they found? They found that when they increase the GG, this is the mechanism, when they put in the GG to the muscle where they harvest the mitochondria from the animal that have type 2 diabetes, two things. One, they improve the function of the mitochondria to do respiration for ATP conversion, which you expect because that's what the mitochondria is doing. One. They weren't able to connect if that has to do with the CoQ10, but they can connect that is able to improve the mitochondrial function. And two, in type 2 diabetes, some of the mitochondria is already damaged. It's already dysfunctional. You know what the GG does? the GG is helping to remove damaged mitochondria. Man, that is as
Wow.
that is as good as can. Now, if you have damaged let me finish it. If you have damaged mitochondria, you cannot refix the mitochondria. You have to get rid of it. If the mitochondria is not get rid of, then you have bad problem in the whole muscle. So that, in 2019, a Japanese scientist was given the Nobel Prize for autophagy. That means that to remove damaged organelles like that.
That's where I was trying to go.
and this one here, if you want a special word, it's called mitophagy. So it's just a clever thing. Is removing the mitochondria for autophagy like that. And then I said, wow.
So GG is the new anti-aging compound.
Amen to that. we have already shown the delta tocotrienol, which is our tocotrienol, to remove autophagy. Autophagy. Now that one is in the cancer cell.
So we need the NR with GG longevity supplement now.
Yes. I think that as a simple anti-aging thing, for no other cause of any disease thing, people should take Annatto EGG, because the Annatto E has already been shown to increase the telomere, to increase the lifespan of worms. We have studied that. We have also studied that in cancer cell, in the cancer cell, the mitochondria and the cell is growing like mad. So when you give them tocotrienol, it actually causes autophagy of the mitochondria of the cancer cell. So for the cancer cell, you want it to die. But in the diabetic cell, you want the GG to help to remove the damaged mitochondria, which is what it's doing, and then grow new mitochondria. So I think that for that have a strong implication for muscle health. So we're hoping that the second half of 2023, we might be able to engage in a study on exercise and performance power on younger people.
So one more topic, because GG is so fascinating. What about GG and cancer? And I started looking into some of the research, and most of the research seems to show that GG seems to be beneficial. There was a study that it may have activity against prostate cancer. It was like an in vitro study. There was data showing that GG may induce apoptosis of several forms of cancer, including leukemia and colon cancer. But there was one paper where they were saying that it may block the activity of certain statins, such as pitvastatin, which is used to fight ovarian cancer.
Yes, I as to you say two things there. I'll say the first one. Yes, that first study shows, if you look carefully at the study, they use GG and then they compared with tocotrienol. Hands down, if it is cancer, tocotrienol is probably the best. We have 6 clinical trials in Denmark and in Florida, and we definitively, unequivocally saw tocotrienol work to bring death of the cancer cell and to be anti-angiogenesis. We don't see that with the power of GG to do on the cancer piece. So that in the in vitro study, we saw that the tocotrienol is approximately 5 to 10 times more potent than GG in the anti-cancer piece, like that. On the pitvastatin thing, it is a very strange study, and we have written to the professor. That study was using pitvastatin to kill the cancer. My general take is that to use statin to kill cancer is a long shot, and it's probably never going to go there, because the amount of statin you need to use to kill cancer is about 10 to 20 times higher than for using for cholesterol reduction. At that level, is going to emaciate the cancer patient, because the loss of muscle mass will be severe. But yes, there was that study. So in that study, they showed that GG is helping the animal to revive the tumor. So what is the offshoot of that? The offshoot of that, if you were to take that study seriously, the offshoot of that would be, if you are taking pivastatin to kill cancer, you essentially have to commit the rest of your life to eat entirely synthetic food. Entirely, you got to listen to me carefully. Synthetic food, the moment you eat natural food, you're going to get GG, because I said at the beginning of your talk, all plant must have GG. Without GG, they cannot make carotenoid, cannot make chlorophyll. So if you were to take that seriously, you have to quit eating all things natural. I think that is ludicrous. I personally think that it's ludicrous like that. But GG is not good, strong enough vis-a-vis tocotrienol to kill cancer. Let me add this piece that you may not chance to ask. I believe GG have a strong component in cognitive and behavioral health of the brain. That I want to say strongly. Let me tell you how this is shown. In Texas, and you missed it. You should Google that, Dr. Weiss, GG and brain health. I have to figure out how to think about it. First, in the learning animal, when they gave them GG, the GG is able to learn better. So that piece published, and then it kind of like stopped. We have another professor, 20 years after, she is continuing the study in Texas also. She found that you can train and cognitively improve the rat how to figure out the spatial arrangement so that they can recognize things better if they are given T3, the tocotrienol as a group, or GG as a group. Then separately in Japan and also in Tufts University, they found it. First, let me state, in the brain, the only vitamin K in the brain is MK4. There is no phyloquinone, vitamin K1. There is none other aminoquinone except MK4. And then they study elderly people, centenarian that pass away, have given consent, so their brain tissue. And for those that died that are not have no dementia, higher MK4 in the brain. For those that died and they had dementia, they have lower MK4. So that's a strong smoking gun. In another study, this is all published this year, another study of living elderly people, the blood level of MK4 are higher for those that have normal cognition, and the intermediate for mild dementia, and for those that have Alzheimer's disease have the lowest amount of MK4. So MK4 have a place inversely proportional to dementia and mental and cognitive health. And I've just explained to you earlier how GG is the piece in the synthesis of MK4. So I'm trying to figure out how to design a study to do it. I am not yet there. I'm trying to design a study how that can be. We have animal data though. When we have GG and tocotrienol, is able to help in the synaptic communication, and therefore able to explain this. So it is still relatively new. And you know, having said all of this.
So if you were going to speculate right now, if you were treating a patient with dementia or early signs of Alzheimer's disease, what would you think would be the best recommendation for supplementation for vitamin K, vitamin E, and GG?
I would say the person should take a combination of tocotrienol and GG, the Anato EGG. That would be maintain mental health, and separately, because they may not have all of this in one fell swoop, that you can separately take vitamin K, a combination of K, sometimes phyloquinone, sometimes some of the manoquinone, and many company add vitamin D in it, and then I know Design for Health add GG in it. If you already have GG in it, Then you just take separately tocotrienol. If you have a company that don't have GG in it, then you take the Anato EGG. So you have this combination of product to maintain a healthy brain function and cognitive thing. I'm pretty confident that this is a strong thing. If you send me an email,
what about dosage for this particular purpose for brain function?
Okay, for GG 150 milligram, for tocotrienol 300 milligram, and for vitamin for K2 MK4 probably more like 10 to 20 milligram. They are rather expensive, and vitamin MK7 they are even lower dose. I saw out there about 400 microgram. So MK7 400 microgram, MK4 10 to 20 milligram, vitamin D probably about 2000 IU like that, and then tocotrienol 300 milligram, and then GG 150 milligram. So some combination thereof. And I'm sure Dr. Weitz, you can advise many of your people, you can use this combination. They should be able to help to a very strong, healthy mind. I mean, I'm grateful. I'm probably the only one standing alive that have taken tocotrienol longer than anybody standing. I started taking it about 35 years ago because I was doing this. And for GG, until we succeeded in making the product, I've been taking GG roughly for the last 2 years or so. Before that, there were no GG. I was working on GG, but I couldn't make the product, and now I have. So I'm personally taking it. So, and I will be 70 years old come next year. So all grateful, I know that, nutritional supplement is not God. I have other things, but I'm very grateful. I found this, and then I'm trying to say good things and help other people to be blessed by this, so that as we grow older, we also have the quality of life to age with it. Wouldn't that be a benefit? That would be a great new year for
Absolutely.
2023.
So interesting. So you're still recommending MK7 as part of the mix?
I would say less of MK7. If it, I only mention MK7 to this. Currently, the half a dozen of MK7 studies out there, clinical trial, say that they improve mental health. They improve the bone calcification. If you look, you can find them. They're approximately about 400 microgram per day. So it's very small amount, 0.4. Probably because this compound MK7 is very expensive to make, so 0.4 milligram. I sometimes struggle with how so small an amount would work. MK4, however, now, truth be told, in Japan, I didn't say this, in Japan, 45 milligram MK4 is a pharmaceutical drug. But isn't that curious? Natto, which is this Japanese thing that we eat, make MK7. Everybody mumble that, but MK7 is not a drug. MK4 is a pharmaceutical drug in Japan for anti-osteoporosis. Now, you go figure. You go figure. You can Google 45 milligram. So I think that there is a strong suit. However, in the U.S., MK4 is not an anti-osteoporotic drug as in Japan. Like that is a supplement. So we recommend people to take GG because GG converts in the human body. So why did I say MK7? Only because of the half a dozen clinical trials out there at 0.4 milligrams, something like that.
Excellent. So thank you so much, Dr. Tan. For those who want to know more about GG or who want to purchase GG, where should they go?
They would go if you go online, probably the best known company that do that, we're very proud to partner with them, is Designs for Health. And of course, Dr. Weitz already highly recommend their product. And they're really sincere and try to put the kinds of products out there. I told them, you got to make this denomination. They go make it. And sometimes they have to bite the bullet to do it, because I didn't want them to come up with something and it ain't working for people. That's not good. So, or if you want to buy from other sources, if you come to our website, American River Nutrition, or my name, Barrie Tan, spelled Barrie, Tan, Tan, and then you come to a place that buying a supplement. We don't sell finished product, and it will list all the companies selling this product. If you wanted to be sure that the product is actually made by our factory here in Hadley, for the GG, we simply call GG Gold. That means it's made here, right here in Hadley. If it is tocotrienol from our tocotrienol from Anato, then it would be Delta Gold, because of Delta tocotrienol, like the Delta airline, Delta Gold. And then if it is the CoQ10 ubiquinol plus GG for people who take statin, we call duoquinol, DUO, because it's dual. Ubiquinol and GG, duoquinol, and I think Design for Health simply call it CoQ10, like that. So if you look at the bottle, it will say duoquinol. It came from us. So GG Gold, Delta Gold, and duoquinol. So like that. And if you further have any question, send us an email. My website has an email. To the extent possible, I'll try to answer.
What's your website, Dr. Tan?
Oh, sorry. AmericanRiverNutrition.com. Just a continuous word. www.AmericanRiverNutrition.com. Once you go there, you can also download all the white papers that we have there. If you want to follow through with us, every time when we publish a paper, we announce them, like that. So currently, we have about 15, 20 published paper on clinical trials on tocotrienol. Hands down, man. Everybody should be taking tocotrienol like that. And GG, the research is coming. The testosterone one will be the next one. The myopathy would be following. And probably the exercise one will be following in the years to come. And then you can also download a white paper on duoquinol, why the combination of GG and ubiquinol. So you can come on the website. Until we talk again, have a wonderful holiday, be blessed, and we can start the new year with good health and do good things.
Thank you so much for your contributions to humanity.
Thank you, Dr. Weitz.
And thank you for making it all the way through this episode of the Rational Wellness Podcast. And for those of you who enjoy listening to the Rational Wellness Podcast, I would certainly appreciate it if you could go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and give us a 5-star ratings and review. That way, more people will be able to discover the Rational Wellness Podcast. And I wanted to say thank you to all the patients that we've been working with at our Weitz Sports Chiropractic and Nutrition Clinic, most of whom we've been able to help with a range of various health conditions, from various types of gut disorders to thyroid and hormonal issues, autoimmune diseases, and various other cardiometabolic conditions. And so I very much appreciate you, and I'm excited about going forwards, helping you to improve your health on your journey towards optimal health. And I wanted to let everybody know that I do have a few openings now for new clients, and you can take advantage of that by calling my Weitz Sports Chiropractic and Nutrition Santa Monica office at 310-395-3111, and we can set you up for a new consultation for functional medicine nutrition. And we can get that going as early as the new year. So give us a call, and I'll talk to you next week.